Top of the morning, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Frank Warren. Frank Warren on Fury White undercard backlash. He quotes and admits, "We only have a certain amount of money to play with." Death, taxes, and boxing promoters trying to defend their perceived undercards. Veteran British fight promoter Frank Warren recently found himself in the same position after the undercard to the Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte heavyweight title bout for Fury's WBC heavyweight belt was unveiled to the public. Fury White is set to take place April 23rd at Wembley Stadium in London. It wasn't the kind of lineup to get your hopes up for a hardcore boxing card. The 7-fight undercard features Anthony Casace in a super featherweight bout against Jonathan Romero for the secondary WBO belt, Isaac Lowe in a featherweight bout against Nick Ball, also for a secondary title, WBC, and Tommy Fury, the reality TV figure and younger half-brother of Tyson Fury, in the light heavyweight contest with Daniel Businowski. The Queensberry Promotions head, however, let us know the perception that the undercard is completely dross, saying in a recent interview that while the undercard does not feature top known names, many of the bouts themselves are competitive or 50-50. Warren co-promotes Fury with Bob Arum at Top Rank Promotions. Warren also pointed out to developments that were out of his control because his charge, Anthony Yarde, the hard-hitting lightweight contender, is in a position to potentially fight for a 175-pound unification bout. Warren did not want to risk Yarde getting involved in a stay-busy fight that could jeopardize his status. In addition, rising American heavyweight Jared Anderson, who is promoted by Top Rank, was supposed to be on the undercard, but he also suffered an injury. Most of all, regarding the quality of the undercard, Warren said that he was restricted by the enormous purse bid we placed on the event. And of course, he said this: Anthony Yarde was supposed to fight on there, Warren told IFL TV. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. Bob Arum's heavyweight Jared Anderson was supposed to be there, but he got injured. We've put all our money into the main event, but we've got a good fighting undercard. There's a couple good cracking fights on there. It is what it is. Obviously, it's a disappointment. We want to deliver every time, but at the end of the day, we are constricted by the fact that we bid $41 million for the fight. If we bid $32 million, as Matchroom did, we will have more money to play with. Let me counterpunch. I'm glad that Frank Warren is just coming out and saying it. You know, there's a lot of things that were out of his control, and that's true. Jared Anderson, I mean, who knew he was going to get hurt? That's unfortunate because that could have spiced that card up 20% at least, okay? But when it came to Anthony Yarde, I do think that he didn't want to risk his fighter because he knew and he knows that if something happened to Tyson Fury, that would be his backup fighter. Okay, Anthony Yarde is his backup fighter, and he needs guys like that because they're young and they are the future of boxing. Okay, so if he put him there and he got beat by some way, and then somehow Tyson Fury gets beat by Dillian Whyte, what does he really have? So what he did was he sacrificed the legitimacy of this card for that reason and that reason only. Okay, so don't get it twisted. Now, as far as the money goes, he didn't have more money to bring in new talent or other talent. There was nobody else available. And it's good that he admitted that, like, hey, we don't have the money. And the weird, strange, ironic thing about this is he admitted, like, well, hey, if we would have bet $32 million instead of 41, we would have had more money to play with. Crazy. And you look at why people do certain things. You know, a lot of times people are like, man, Frank Warren did this. Man, Frank Warren beat out Eddie Hearn for once. This is new. This is something fresh. This makes it interesting. But now we see on the back end on why those type of sacrifices don't really pan out to be what they're supposed to be. Now, the saving grace of that is 94,000 tickets were sold. And so that's an overall success. So advantage Frank Warren. But the undercard will speak for itself. And if it stinks to high heaven and people get to booing this particular fight with all those many people, that would make a drastic impact on the future of Queensberry Promotions and the future of his promotional company. You know, Frank Warren's reputation is pretty much, he's putting it all on the line for this particular fight. You know, so him saying that, hey, we sacrificed this amount of money just to host this fight in this venue and promote this fight, and the fighters are shitty except for the main event. That's really not. It's almost like, does the fight end up? Or does this card, or will the main event save the card? Because I've seen many main events that have been absolute shite. I mean, seriously. So it's basically, if the main event is terrible, this fight will be an absolute disaster. Okay? And again, Frank Warren is saying like, hey, we only have so much money to work with. And then another thing that we're not factoring in is, will Dillian actually fight? What if he pulls out? So you got a shit undercard and the main event fighter pulls out. That means you have no one for backup. You have nothing to put in that slot. Yeah, replacement fighter. Okay, well, damn, you already got a shitty undercard. But then if Dillian Whyte pulls out, yeah, there will be lawsuits. There will be repercussions and all that. But at that time, that fight will be an absolute disaster on top of someone sacrificing everything to see a mandatory, you know, and then it would be bad to see how that unravels with Frank Warren, because that brings a whole new level of stress. Okay, I remember Barry Hearn got out of the business because of the stress. Maybe Frank needs to, you know, take those footsteps because this is a risky thing that he did. There's a reason why people don't bid like they do, because it's not worth the risk based on what the investment could be. You know, so the money of, or the business behind sacrificing so much money for a purse bid, it just shows you why people don't do it. And it shows you also why you should always have enough money to play with, to take care of those fighters, to make sure that whole card is lit, because if not, you could end up in a situation where this is an absolute disaster. And I don't think Frank Warren wants that, but I am at least glad that he's come out and admitted that, hey, we don't have that much money. And I figured that from the get-go, like I've been telling you guys. Frank Warren sacrificed a lot to put on this promotion because he did not want to lose it to Eddie Hearn. You guys tell me what you think about Frank Warren's confession. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.